What are the best stocks to buy right now that you have not heard of? These are absolutely not on your radar right now. Let's go ahead and break it down. One of the favorite things that I like to do on this channel, and one of the most viewed things that you guys apparently do enjoy, is when I do good stock lists, because y'all enjoy making money and so do I. So what I did was pull together a list of great companies that I don't think are really on the radar. Everybody knows about Apple, Nvidia, and hopefully you know about Walmart. Been talking about it, okay? But I put together a list of companies that are not as popular, which gives you a few benefits. Number one, you get to sound cool at the water cooler. And also, these could be some underestimated names, companies you can start to make money on, and then we get to make way more money before everybody else starts to find out about these stocks as well. Now, I think there is maybe one company that I'm sure we all have heard of. There's another company that I'm sure you've heard of, but nobody's really investing in this stock. In fact, if you had asked me if this company was public, I wouldn't have guessed it. I honestly did not know they even offered stock here. So let's start with the company you've heard of, but probably didn't know that it was public or that it was doing this well. The company is Motorola. I'm gonna be honest with you. I knew BlackBerry was public. I have no idea where that stock is, but Motorola, yeah, the company that makes the Razr phone, is still alive. They are public. The stock symbol is MSI, and it's doing well. Didn't know that before I started doing my research, pulled together this stock list. And the stock right now over the last 6 months is up 34%. In the last year it's up 66%. Again, under the radar, completely under the radar. Obviously, other than phones, they do make other devices, cameras, things like that. And over the last 3 years, and this is the thing that I really like. I'm going to talk about some pros and cons about these stocks too. But here's the thing. Revenue growth. Okay, this is how much money they've made year over year. But they have averaged 10% increases in revenue growth over the last 3 years. This not only means that, yeah, the stock is good right now, but the company has been creating double-digit revenue growth. That is a good thing, and it could signal that this could not only be a good stock for us right now, but could be a long-term stock for us to hold and just kind of stick in the back of our portfolio to be a money maker for us. While everybody else is talking about all the trendy stocks, and that's fine, but this is the one that can make us money and make us look very, very smart. Next here, one thing I want to talk about the downside here, and this could be downside and a good side at the same time. So downside here is the company does have a lot of debt. Why could that be a good thing? So number one, for a company, this debt that they have taken on could have helped them to hire more people, put out all this equipment, and blah, blah. But the main thing is because interest rates are coming down, that could help them pay it off a lot easier, and that could help the books look better, which is going to help the stock look better too. That could be another reason as to why the company has continued to do well. But again, before accruing all this extra debt, they have still seen 10% revenue growth on average for 3 years. Okay, so again, they have a good track record. The stock has continuously done well, even with the debt that they do have. A lot of companies have debt, okay? It's not like personal debt. They ain't like credit card debt, all right? So do want to give you the positives and the negatives as we go through. Next here is Numont, the Numont Corporation, NEM. You may have heard of this one. They are a mining company of 39% in the last 6 months, up 49% over the last year. I feel like they come up every time gold does well, and we did a whole video on gold actually and how it hit an all-time high, and whether or not you should invest in gold right now. You might want to check that out. But again, gold is at an all-time high. Also, with the interest in lithium and electric cars, this company may recur on lists like these every now and then, and maybe they will become a higher player, become, more in the forefront. But I don't think enough people are talking about this company. I would argue they are certainly not a household name at all. The ticker symbol, if I haven't mentioned it already, is NEM. Next here is PKG. I think the Packing Company of America, I think is the correct name for it. But they pack stuff. Packing materials, paper. It's a boring company. And you know what I like? Good, boring company. Give me that old-fashioned stock that just pumps out money that nobody knows about, that nobody seems to care about, that just does its job, and that is putting more money in my portfolio and more money in my pocket. That is what this company does, and they've been doing it for quite a while. So here's the thing. Number one, it's up 29% in the last 6 months and up 46% over the last year. Y'all know I like that. We all like that, okay? But here's the other thing. So first off, they did report earnings earlier today, so I think it's up, when I looked at it when recording this video, it's up like another 5, almost 6%, so that throws off the numbers just a bit, but that is a good thing. The earnings report was good from what I had seen before recording this video, but they are a pretty good long-term stock. So not that I use the last 5 years to give me a great insight. Okay, I just did a video earlier this week about how I don't think a 10-year prediction is good. Okay, so I don't think looking back 5 years is the greatest measure of what I think is going to happen in the next 5 years. Okay, so I'm not using this as a indication of what is going to happen, but I do want to use it for context. Okay, for context. In the last 5 years, the company made 110%. Comparing that to the S&P 500, the S&P 500 made about 92 to 93%. So it even outperformed the S&P 500. This boring company that I'm sure 90% of y'all had never heard of. You don't even know what the logo looks like. I don't know what the logo looks like. If you're looking at the logo on the screen right now, no, that is not the logo of the company. It is not. This is a random logo that I picked. Okay, that is how much you don't know about this company. Okay, so do your research, see if that fits for you in your portfolio. But I think everybody should have one or two, at least, very boring companies that do well. Perhaps PKG is one of those that you should add. Now, this company, I know you've heard of it. I did hint at it, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it here. One note. Okay, I forgot about this. I highlighted it here in my notes. The Packing Company of America, Packaging Company, whatever. I'll put the words on the screen. They do pay a solid dividend of 2.31%. It's solid. Not the best in the world, but it is solid. Okay, now moving on to the next one. The company I know you've heard of, but I did want to add it because it is solid and it's worth mentioning. AT&T. The ticker symbol here is T, up 32% in the last 6 months, up 41% over last year. This is the one I mentioned at the top of the video. You have heard of this one, but I don't think enough people are talking about it. So that's the one. I did mention it about how much trash I used to talk about AT&T, so I'm not going to go into it. We all know what they do. Now, they do pay a good dividend of 5.16%, so 5.16. It is what it is. So when it comes to AT&T, we all know what they do. Now, my concern with AT&T is more of a bias, okay? If you were to tell me, or if I had to choose, now I'll talk more about this at the end in terms of which one I trust more than the other, but AT&T is the one more from my bias and what I've seen in my investing career of I like it now today. I don't know if I would, first I wouldn't blindly trust almost any stock. Okay, that's just flat out. I would not blindfold myself and be like, yeah, I'm gonna hold my hand and just walk with AT&T and trust that everything is gonna be fine. Okay, I think for me, I would trust AT&T for a short-term period and then quickly look for whatever else is out there at the fastest opportunity I can, being 6 months. That's more of I've seen what AT&T has done in the past and that's not been good. A part of that is just based on when I was born and when AT&T was doing what it was doing. Okay, that could just be a bias for me and just when I was born and when I started investing. When I started investing, started learning about the stock market, unfortunately for me, a lot of that started in the Great Recession. Oops. That's not my fault. Okay, that's just not my fault. AT&T wasn't good during that time. And it just lingered and did not do well. And then a lot of the technology stocks and companies, it just wasn't a great era for AT&T. I don't know if that's going to continue or not. So for me, it's doing well now. This is one of the ones I'm most concerned about. So just throwing it out there. Giving you my honest thoughts, but right now, if I'm taking, and just like I tell y'all, I gotta take my emotions, try to take my emotions and my own bias out of it. And when I do, and I'm looking at the numbers, AT&T looks good. Take that how you will, okay? Taking my bias out of it, AT&T looks good. But as a human, my instinct tells me is not a long-term stock. So I just want to give you all of that, let you sit with it, and y'all let me know if I'm tripping in the comments. But I'm being vulnerable and telling y'all how I feel, okay? Next here is Williams. The stock symbol here is WMB. The stock is up 34% in the last 6 months and up 47% over the last year. They are a dividend stock. They're an oil stock. They're an energy company. Y'all know I like to have 1 or 2 energy stocks in my back pocket. Y'all know what my favorite ones are. I don't need to repeat them. And I'm not going to repeat some of the ones that I do absolutely love because we've talked about those several times. I've done a whole video on my favorite energy stocks as well as why billionaires are owning energy stocks too. We talked about that as well, but they do pay a dividend of 3.58%, very solid. Now, a concern about Williams. Now, we are already in October. I've told you my working theory around why I think energy companies tend to do well as of a few months ago and now into this season. This is one of those seasons, okay? And they are not the only ones. Again, I've done a whole video on some of the energy stocks that I believe in the most. Y'all have made money from some of those. I'm still owning some of those. If you want to see the stocks I do own, the link for public is in the description below. Okay, we've talked about those. Now, again, my only concern really about Williams is this, okay? I like to tell you about any bias or conflicts that I have or anytime I own a stock when those are there, okay? I believe in transparency. I think that makes everybody better. The headquarters for Williams is my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Therefore, I have seen Williams when it is good and how great everybody's friends and parents be doing when Williams does well. I've also, when they do layoffs, I felt it. Meaning, I go to school and then somebody's parents get laid off and you feel it in the classroom. Like, oh, my friend is sad. That's because such and such's mom and dad got laid off, right? So, being from a state where the primary economy is oil, I've seen boom and bust cycles. I don't think we are in a bust cycle for oil right now. I'm also not an oil aficionado. So there's that. But again, just be aware of that they do go in cycles and they do shift on a dime. Again, there's a bias from being from Oklahoma. Take that how you will. Right now, though, I'm still investing in Constellation Energy. Most people are still in NRG. Right now, Williams is still doing well, and we still haven't hit the cold season yet. So I don't see it being around the corner. This is really, it's about to heat up. And take that as a pun if you wish. So if this were to happen, I would say it wouldn't happen in October, November, December, January, February, or March. So if you were to look into it, continue doing your research, this would be the time to get it, and then start to look around March and April if you were looking to sell. So I still think, even if it weren't the 2 or 3 year term hold, which I don't think is the greatest timeline, I think this is a minimum of 6 months. Now, how would I rank these in terms of which ones I trust the most and which ones I trust the least? Before I get into that, I do want to tell you that I am teaching a free class on how you can get your first 6 figures investing, right? How do you create your first 6-figure investing plan? The class is totally free. That link is right here, okay? So buildingbread.com/free class tell you how to start investing, how to understand the stock market, and why it is so important to hit that 6-figure mark. Yes, you can get there. I started with a teacher's salary, okay? I didn't say how I started. I started by teaching 7th grade math in Dallas, Texas, and worked my way up, okay? All right, so if I were talking about trust, right, where would I start? Again, my philosophy is you invest for a minimum of 6 months to a year. You hit that date, you come back and reevaluate. Go back, do your research again. Is this company still good? Yes or no? The answer is yes. You keep on investing, keep holding that stock. The answer is no. You look at the economy, look at the stock market, and then switch to something that is better based on what the world is like, what the market is like, what the economy is like at that point in time. Hopefully, these companies continue to do well and you can hold it for forever and ever. That's not always the case, okay? But I would stick with PKG as my number 1 choice because that seems to be, it's packing, it's paper, it's boring. It's going to stay there, right, in theory. So that is my number one. That is where I would stay first. Then second would probably be either Motorola or the mining company, that is NEM. Reason being, we are still in a tech era. While I don't know, again, in my mind, Motorola, it's not Apple, clearly, right? But I'm curious as to where they've been this entire time and how well they've been doing. That 3-year stat is good to me. Again, there's more research I would need to know before I put my own personal money into it, but that is something that does kind of give me a bit more confidence. When it comes to Numont, I wonder how much of this recent run is based on gold alone, and how much of it is going to be based on lithium, because that is going to be a very, very important component for the future of electric vehicles and almost everything else moving forward. And then we move into bias category between Williams and AT&T. Which one do I trust more? That's a toss-up, to be honest with you. It's an honest toss-up. It could be seasonal with Williams, so we're talking April 2025, and then we're talking AT&T could do whatever, whenever. Maybe it can go up to the election, depending on who wins, how aggressive or non-aggressive are they going to be, who's going to be taking control of Congress, and what bills are they going to pass, if they're going to pass anything at all. Who knows? So those two are both tied for a coin flip in terms of which one I trust more in that particular category. Before we get out of here though, these people right here are the ones who got to see this video first and got to see this content first, and they probably got to see it like a whole day in advance, and they usually, sometimes depending on how much time I get, they will get a complete write-up and additional content too. Sometimes, again, depending on what's going on, I will either release alerts to say, hey, this is going on, I'm selling this stock, I like this stock, and they will get an entire write-up, and or advanced videos, again, hours, sometimes days in advance. And these are the people that keep this content rolling. Perhaps you want to join them also inside our members only. But also, if you want some other stocks that may be on the radar or some that are under $50, these are the videos that you want to watch next.